Hello, friends. Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our EndAbortion.tv broadcast. We're very happy to be joined today by another of our medical advisors, Dr. William Lile, who speaks and presents about pro-life topics and the unborn child in numerous places, does a wonderful job, and has been connected with us now for some years. Dr. Lile, so happy to have you on the program.
Thank you for the invitation, Father Frank.
Tell our viewers, first of all, a little bit about your own background in medicine and your credentials as we speak about these important pro-life topics of our day.
Sure. Well, I'm board certified in obstetrics and gynecology. I'm licensed to practice medicine in both Florida and Alabama, and I've been in private practice here in Florida for almost 20 years. I've been an instructor with both the University of Florida residency programs and with the Florida State residency program. I've chaired our Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology for 2 years. I was vice chair for the 2 years before that. And I've delivered almost 4,000 babies since I started, about 24 years ago.
You know, many of our viewers and listeners, of course, know the personal experience of childbirth. They know the joy and the pain that go with it. But what's the experience like from your perspective? I mean, as the OBGYN who is delivering that child, summarize for us what that's like.
After almost 4,000 babies, it's still an amazing experience. It never gets old. It's always unique. It's always special. It's a new life that is coming from the inside, and that life is now coming to the outside. I have a patient in labor now, 6 centimeters, and hopefully she will not progress rapidly and deliver it during the next hour. But the technology has also changed. You know, we treat the preborn. We knew they were patients. We knew they were persons on the inside of the womb, but now we can actively treat them as a patient. From that moment of conception, when that one egg from the mom and that one cell from the dad get together, that DNA is unique. It's different from the other 7 billion people on the planet. The DNA that we have at that moment of conception doesn't change. It's whether you're 70, 80, or 90 years of age, that is the same DNA. If you send off your DNA to Ancestry.com or 23andMe to have them tell you about your past, going back hundreds of years, many generations, the DNA that you send off to them, even if you're 70 or 80 years old, is the exact same DNA that occurred at that moment of conception.
Right.
We can see with ultrasound the hearts of the babies beating at 25 days. But now we're actually treating them as patients. At our hospital, we've done blood transfusions to the baby as early as 19 weeks gestation. Other centers are doing heart surgery, valvuloplasty, septoplasty, spinal surgery at 22 weeks gestation. So as our technology changes more and more, not only do we recognize this as a new individual, different person on the inside, but we're actively treating them as patients by giving them blood transfusions and even surgeries. So a patient is a person, no matter how small.
So, Dr. Lile, with the current debate raging in our country over late-term abortion, many people wonder about viability, and some of our fellow citizens will say, well, as far as their opinion on abortion, if the baby can survive outside the womb, then they're no longer in favor of abortion for that child. But tell us how the age of viability, the survivability of the baby outside the womb, the point at which the baby can be delivered safely, has gotten earlier and earlier, hasn't it?
Yeah, as our technology changes, we keep thinking, well, we'll never get younger than this, that the babies can survive. When I started in medicine, 25 weeks was early, and then 24 weeks. And then our cutoff where we felt comfortable with some survival was 23 weeks. As we speak, we are revising our policies here at our hospital where we would offer resuscitation, and we're making that change to 22 weeks. There was a baby born about an hour west of us in Mobile, Alabama, at 22 weeks gestation that just went home. So it keeps changing, but you know what? It's our technology that is changing. It is not the life in the womb. It's just our ability to support that baby. We're doing blood transfusions at 19 weeks. We're doing surgery at 22 weeks. We can do genetic studies. I can tell you whether it's a boy or a girl with a blood test from the mom as early as 7 weeks after conception, 9 weeks from the first day of the last menstrual period. There are centers up in Children's Hospital of Philadelphia which feel comfortable at 14 weeks gestation with their ultrasound technology to analyze the heart of the baby to determine whether that baby might need a corrective procedure later on during the pregnancy. So our technology improves, but that life and that personhood within the womb, that has not changed. That's always been a person on the inside.
And this is so awesome to see how these babies are being able to be delivered earlier and earlier. Now, when you use these numbers, and you made a quick reference to it, remind our listeners about the two different ways of measuring the length of the pregnancy, last menstrual period versus the time of fertilization. And when you mention about 22 weeks, which of those measurements does that employ?
22 weeks, it's talking about the first day of the last menstrual period. The egg typically does not ovulate until about 2 weeks after the first day of the last menstrual period. So we look at doing genetic studies like the panorama and other what are called non-invasive perinatal testing evaluations. The test would say, well, you can do that as early as 9 weeks. Well, that's 9 weeks from the first day of the last menstrual period. The egg doesn't even get released until 2 weeks later. So we can really do that test as early as 7 weeks. So when we talk about 22 weeks gestation as far as the baby surviving on the outside, that's really 20 weeks since the egg ovulated and conception actually happened.
That is, it's amazing. It's just amazing. Essentially, we're just about at the point, aren't we, where we're cutting the time of pregnancy in half.
We really are. We used to feel comfortable at 25 weeks. Now it's like 22 weeks. And we'll say, yeah, we can do the second half of the pregnancy in our intensive care nursery.
Wow.
Are there times where we have to deliver a baby early? Sure. Whenever I have a pregnant patient, I really have two patients. I have the mom and I have the baby. And there are certain conditions where a baby needs to be delivered early. But there is never a condition where delivering the baby and then taking the life of the baby will help the mother in any way. There are conditions such as HELP syndrome and severe preeclampsia where mom is sick, and if mom is sick, since she's the life support system for the baby, if mom is sick, he's getting sick. So the only cure for some of these conditions is to deliver the baby. But in no way does taking the life of the baby during that process of delivering a baby help the mother in any way. Any competent OBGYN can have a baby delivered by emergency C-section in less than 60 seconds. Well, there's no way that taking the life of that baby in that process would in any way help the health of the mother. And health is a huge definition.
Yes.
When you see legislation, it says, well, we're going to allow for abortion when it involves the health of the mother. And this Reproductive Health Act up in New York State, it uses that term. It says for the life or the health of the mother. Well, you and I would think health, well, that means if we don't do something, then mom is going to die. Health was defined in 1973, the same day as Roe versus Wade was released. A case called Doe versus Bolton was decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Supreme Court said that health was physical, emotional, psychological, familial, or age. So mom might be perceived as too young, too old, might have depression, anxiety, might have family issues. So that word health needs to be defined in our conversation. Depression and anxiety are something we deal with in pregnancy, but that's not a reason to take the life of the baby on the inside.
Well, these are exactly the questions that I want to delve into in a little bit more depth with you, Dr. Lile. We'll take a little break first, and then we'll come back and go through even more detail some of the points you just mentioned. So, friends, we're talking with one of our medical advisors, Dr. William Lile, and so happy to have him with us. You stay with us too, please, and we'll be back right after this announcement from evangelist Alveda King. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Evangelist Alveda King with Priest for Life. I would like to remind you today that your voice matters in the public forum and your vote counts. We are so blessed in this nation to be able to elect our leaders. No matter how bad our public policies may become, elections allow us to steer them in a new and different direction. After all, those who make our laws work for us, not the other way around. Today, I want to urge you to vote and to vote pro-life. Don't miss an election. Get to know who the candidates are and what they stand for. Get to know the platforms of the political parties and get as many others to vote as you possibly can. Thank you, and God bless you.
Well, welcome back, friends. Father Frank Pavone here of Priests for Life. You're watching endabortion.tv, and we're joined by Dr. William Lile, OBGYN, board certified, practices here in Florida, and is also certified in Alabama, and he has had the experience of delivering some 4,000 babies. What a beautiful vocation, really, the medical profession is, as is the priesthood and so many other vocations. But Dr. Lile, I really do look at it as a vocation, and certainly the grace of God is at work in all that we are all doing. This question of late-term abortion, I want to examine some of the things that are being argued back and forth, some of which you've begun to comment on already. And let's take a look at this assertion that the pro-abortion side so often makes. And you hear candidates saying this in debates, and we hear people writing and talking about it, where they'll say, oh, well, these late-term abortions, really are only done in cases of medical necessity or to save the life of the mother. Can you explain to our listeners how it makes no sense at all to do a late-term abortion to save a mother's life? Because, first of all, as you pointed out, a baby can be delivered in an emergency situation very, very rapidly. But don't these later stage abortions take several days to complete?
They do. So, reasons to deliver a baby early for the mom's health and thus the baby's health? Sure. We have medical conditions where the only cure is for the baby to go to our neonatal intensive care unit and for us to then treat mom separately as a patient. But in no way ever does taking the life of the baby at this post-viable point improve the health outcomes of the mother. Whether you're going to do this by a delivery or whether you're going to do this by a C-section, if you were to abort this baby, the risks are the same. The only thing that's really changing is we're going to deliver a live baby or we're going to deliver a dead baby. That's the only difference. So needs for delivery, yes. Needs to improve mother's health by taking the life of the baby and stopping that heartbeat? Absolutely not.
So another way to say this, of course, is the process of pregnancy and what that does to the mom's body can certainly present health challenges in various circumstances. But it's the process of the pregnancy. It's not the life of the child.
Correct. Baby need to be delivered early? Yes. Yeah. Baby going to the neonatal intensive care unit? Yes. Take the life of the baby during this process doesn't help the mother at all.
At all. Right. Not at all. Now, the challenges for the baby in being delivered very early, basically, is it correct to say that the main challenge has to do with the strength and development of the lungs?
It is. There are medications that we can give that can help to improve the the lungs. Even when the baby is in the womb, we can give the mom an injection of something called betamethasone or dexamethasone. These are steroid injections which cross the placenta that do three primary things. One, they improve the lung tissue quality. Number two, they will help improve the blood flow going to the bowels so the babies don't develop a condition called necrotizing enterocolitis. And they also decrease the risk of the babies having a bleed in their brain. The biggest challenge is maintaining oxygenation. The baby's lungs are just at that 22, 23 week point, starting to be able, they're actually kind of hard. They're not soft and able to, transport gases across. They just haven't fully developed. These steroids help them improve that. I just gave a patient steroids last night, to do that for her so that we can give the baby every advantage that the baby can be given. But even after the babies are born, we can give a medicine called surfactant direct to the lungs, which helps improve the pliability and it helps them, allow these baby tiny little lungs, allow them to actually, transfer the carbon dioxide that they want to get rid of and the oxygen which they want to receive.
It's so helpful to hear all this because when we know in some of the circumstances like you described that there will need to be an early delivery, it's not as though we just have to cross our fingers and hope for the best. There are these proactive steps that can be and are taken to give this child the maximum chance for a good and healthy life. Let's switch to the question of, as people are talking now in the abortion debate about these newborns, babies that are being aborted, but then they survive the abortion, and we have the unfortunate situation going on with some of these laws that the protection of the baby, even after the baby is outside of the mother's body, these protections are being taken away, and we see Congress so far unable to even pass a law saying that the born alive baby should be protected. The medical dimension of this that I want to ask you about is the following. Help our listeners understand how it can happen that a baby would survive an abortion. Because some people find it very hard to believe that these things are even happening. And of course, we're telling them, well, they are happening. That's why these laws are necessary to protect these babies. But tell us medically, how can that situation come about?
To me, it's unconscionable. I mean, I've spent my career trying to have healthy moms, healthy babies. We do early diagnostics. Sometimes it's not just a matter of what am I going to do during this pregnancy, but what experts do I want to have involved? Do I want to have a pediatric cardiologist involved? Where should this baby deliver? Should we deliver this baby here or should this baby deliver at another tertiary center? We just spent tens of millions of dollars. We're building a brand new children's hospital. This is the third children's hospital since I've been at this hospital. We're spending tens of millions of dollars so that we can provide care for these. When you see that some people would deliver these babies that were strong enough to survive being aborted and then to not give them any support, is just unconscionable. That's why this is not a choice. I mean, a choice is, do you like coffee? Do you like tea? Do you like chocolate? Do you like vanilla? Those are choices. This is evil. This is a demonic force. This is a spiritual battle. And if we don't go into this realizing this is a spiritual battle, it's like if you were to see a baby that was on the front yard and had been toddling and fell into one of those little inflatable kiddie pools, there would be out. You would jump over the fence. You would go and grab that baby out of that pool and save that baby's life. This is the same thing. This is a baby who is alive and is on the outside. How somebody who has been trained as a doctor or a nurse to save lives could look at a struggling baby, struggling to breathe, struggling to maintain body temperature, that's just evil. It is pure evil. It is against everything that medicine should stand for. It's against every value that we as Christians and we as just human beings should have.
Right. Now, of course, some of these late abortions are done essentially as deliveries, right, deliveries of a stillborn. So does it happen then that the baby comes out sooner than the abortionist would expect? I know sometimes they'll inject the heart with digoxin or potassium chloride, and can that sometimes fail to kill the baby, or what is it that could be going on that results in these live births?
Sure. Well, we all heard about all of the hoopla with the, partial birth abortion bans, and we're going to ban that procedure. Well, that was just one procedure where you would deliver the legs, the abdomen, the chest, and the arms, and then take the life of the baby. ACOG actually came out in a response to these laws, and ACOG is the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists.
Right.
And their response is, yes, there are these laws that say you cannot do that procedure if the baby is still alive. The three ways that they then further went on to recommend first taking the life of the baby were just like you mentioned, to either use an amniocentesis, guide a needle into the umbilical cord to avulse the umbilical cord, taking away that life support, coming from the placenta to the baby, or directly inject the baby with a heart medication called digoxin or a medication called potassium chloride. So when somebody is trying to induce a baby, maybe it went faster than they thought and they weren't able to take the life of the baby, or maybe they just were not competent in injecting the baby to take the life of the baby first. I mean, why is Kermit Gosnell from Philadelphia in jail right now? Because he was trying to perform abortions late in the term of the third trimester, and the babies were born alive. And then they had evidence that he actually took a pair of scissors and he would then cut the base of the baby's spine to take the life of the baby. It was so horrendous. Nobody came to his defense. They just wanted to get this trial over with, get him in jail so that it wouldn't be an issue anymore. But that's why Dr. Gosnell is in jail. It's the issue that we're talking about, where a baby is born alive and then actually either actively take the life of the baby or not to take steps to preserve and protect the life of that baby.
Well, these are serious issues we're dealing with, serious times, but we're so grateful for your work and the presentations that you give around the country. I'd like to let our audience also know that you do give a lot of pro-life talks, don't you? And you'll be even available to speak at different conferences and conventions. Sometimes we're together at the same events, and that's always a joy. But let our viewers know how they can connect with you and the presentations that you give.
Sure. Well, one of the easiest ways is to go to my website, which is prolifedoc.org. You can see a lot of videos that I've uploaded. I speak at lots of different churches. I'll be speaking at 2 different churches this Sunday, actually, showing not only the miracle of life and how we treat the preborn as patients, but also talking about forgiveness, because that is the role of the church, to share the gospel. And too many people have not heard that the role of forgiveness is available to them through the blood of Christ. But I also speak at annual banquets. You can also get me through Ambassador Speakers Bureau. You can ask for Gloria through Ambassador Speakers. But you can just go to the website. You can email me. You can ask me a question. I was up till after midnight answering emailed questions just last night. It took me about 5 hours to get through all of them last night. But happy to do that. If I can help you in any way, just give me a call.
That is so great, and we're so happy to have you as part of our team as well. I look forward to seeing you soon, and I know that this interview will help a lot of people understand more about all these debates that are going on right now. So, Dr. William Lile, thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.
But you know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion, if we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political hassles with the government. So they've been silent on abortion. They didn't want to get involved in hassles from the government. They didn't want to take the fight to the government. So now with the HHS mandate, the government took the fight to them. And when it comes to that mandate, we've got a simple message. We will obey God rather than men. As Alveda can tell us, her uncle said one day to the civil rights movement, we've got a lot of obstacles in our way, but we're not going to let anything turn us around. We're not going to let no dogs turn us around, no water hoses turn us around, no police clubs or jail sentences, and we're not going to let any injunctions turn us around. And so today I say to you, in the pro-life movement, no Planned Parenthood is going to turn us around. No biased media is going to turn us around. No HHS mandate is going to turn us around. No Obama administration is going to turn us around.